Welcome back to another episode of the Business Meeting. Today we're going to be going over the player profile of Scoot Henderson, a highly touted NBA prospect. Uh, let's start off with Aaron. We'll go to you first. What are your thoughts on the Scoot Henderson?
Well, if it wasn't for Victor Wembanyama, I think Scoot would be like a no doubt first overall pick. He's 6'2" with a 6'9" wingspan, so all the doubts about his how his defense will translate to the league, I don't worry about it because Marcus Smart 6'2" with a 6'9" wingspan. Any guy like all like the prospects with the +4, +5 wingspans usually translate as average defenders at least, but he's got a +7 wingspan. So with a little bit of coaching and a little bit of effort, I can see that translating well. Um,
Well, okay, so my thing when going over Scoot's film and all that, I noticed that like he isn't like other than his height, he's a physical specimen, like an absolute beast. He's got them big, broad shoulders. He weighs about 200 pounds, super strong. At the
He's
when he gets to the rim, it's just like he's aggressive.
baby Westbrook, man.
He's so quick. He's got that. He's so twitchy too. You know when he's got the ball in his hands, making people just like wobbly and all that. Dude is a freaking. He's a freak, an
yeah.
absolute freak.
Well, a lot of that is just like a lot of that's genetics. But one thing that impresses me is whenever he gets into the lane or is gets into like those one-on-one situations, the way he changes pace and changes speed. It reminds me of like De'Aaron Fox, kind of how he's able to have that like you said like that quick twitch and just go from 0 to 100 and just turn it on and off. That's scary for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think you said he reminds you of De'Aaron Fox. I think he's more. I mean, I could see the De'Aaron, but to me, he just reminds. I think he's cut from the same cloth as like Rose, Westbrook, John Wall. Like those four type of. I think he's going to be one of those type of guys just because how athletic he is and his offensive game, like really 12 feet and in, is like completely polished. Like he's shooting 60% from the rim. Like at the rim, that's great. That's like big man efficiency. And then on floaters, I think he shot like 50% on floaters, which is like Steph Curry, AJ Griffin, top of the league, like with floaters. So if he can get that mid range, like keep that mid range off the pick and roll or the pull up, like that's a big thing in Westbrook's game. Obviously, in the past couple of years, you'll see Westbrook shoot those shots and they look ridiculous, but that was his bread and butter, like his MVP season, like a whenever he hits that second gear, he can just stop on a dime and pull up from anywhere 15 and in. And if you watch Scoot's film, he's like really great at doing that already at 18. So I think that can be like one of the craziest skills we see from an offensive guy in his era.
Yeah, I like what you said with the floater. That was my next point. Last year he only shot 7 floaters, and
Yeah.
this year he's shooting 17 to 35 on the floater. I think that is such an underrated tool just because watching some of his film, he doesn't look comfortable in the mid range. I know a lot of the scouting report says like, oh, he's good in the mid range, but like some of his pull ups, like his feet spread out, and it doesn't look natural, which I'm sure that'll change. I'm not worried about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely having that floater helps a lot.
Yeah, that the floater is nice, but like what I was like that's a lot to do with like getting to the basket and creating like an open shot. But I'm just gonna say like the obvious thing here, one of the weaknesses is obviously shooting beyond the arc or even like deep mid range. What he shot what did he shoot from three last year?
34%.
Yeah, I mean it's just I mean I feel like with the right
That's
shooting
not
coach, I mean
terrible.
no, I mean he's young, like he's an obvious prospect, you know. What he'd be a year? He didn't go to college, so he'd be
Yeah, he's 18.
yeah, he's a young guy. I think with the right shooting coach that he can get that at least solid. I mean, what do you know about? He's a great passer, phenomenal passer. He passes people open all the time. You see it in his game. But one thing that I notice is he's really really good on the pick and roll. Like really good
Yeah.
on the pick and roll. I think if paired with a correct like center or forward or someone off that pick and roll, he could be deadly. One of the best in the league.
I
Top
think
tier.
that's a really like something that's going to be super helpful for him. He doesn't have to play one style of basketball. Like, um, he can play off the pick and roll. He can play isolation. He can play off ball attacking closeouts. Now, his three-pointer percentage is going to have to raise up a little bit to get those stronger closeouts from guys. But when you see the film, once he does get those type of closeouts, the way he can attack those, his first step is ridiculous. Like the best first step I've seen since Westbrook, Rose, John, like those type of guys. He has that type of first step. So I think just the different amount of ways he can create pressure on the rim is going to be super valuable. Because to me, rim pressure is like the most valuable thing you can have on offense because that's the easiest shot you can get. And if you put pressure on the rim, somebody has to help to take that shot away. And once somebody helps, that creates an open man. So I think like guys like Shea's an elite rim pressure guy. You saw he was first team All NBA this year. Like Donovan Mitchell, elite rim pressure guy, All NBA. All the guys who put pressure on the rim, those guys are they're gonna do well. So I think just based off that, I think Scoot and the different amount of ways he can do it. Like I said, he can off the ball. He was 14 for 18 this year on backdoor cuts or just catching the ball off the ball. So he can attack the rim multiple ways.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
I have it written down right here. Literally, quick first step Hall of Fame in bold. Like, dude gets after it. And you know, another thing that I noticed with him is even though he's young and he can be like aggressive at the rim, and he has a lot of patience for a young guy. Like he keeps the play alive quite a bit, dribbling around, getting people open, trying to shifting the offense around. He's a really good floor general. I did notice that as well. But with a young guy like that, it's kind of tough to see. But another thing, like you said, getting to the basket, like he's a top. He has potential to be tops of the league. Like that 6'9" wingspan goes a long way there, because you got he's so creative with his finish. There's so many like if you just watch his film, he doesn't. I don't think you could see three layups finish the same way that are not wide open.
I don't know. I know his cradle reminds me a lot of Derrick Rose. Going to the basket, if you watch MVP Derrick Rose, his one arm cradle, if he whether he went low, high, no matter how he cradled it, Derrick Rose was unstoppable getting to the paint with the pickup, one dribble pickup cradle. And Scoot has that very deep in his bag.
Yeah,
Really,
absolutely.
really balanced.
Another thing I was going to say, touching on what Eli said with the pick and roll, I like how Scoot gets to the middle of the floor and he's using that floater to kind of put pressure on the rim, but also he's very good at getting 2 feet in the paint and hitting somebody in the corner, hitting somebody on the wing. I think in today's modern day offense, like if you're going to be a point guard or a guard of any kind, you have to have that ability. And the way he can kind of get by his defender on the pick and roll, either hit the lob or put 2 feet in the paint and then dump it out to the corner, it's incredible.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Ja a little bit, what he's been doing well, not this year, obviously, with the hand injury and everything, but last year in the playoffs, what he did to the Warriors, like the way that he was able to put pressure on the rim and get guys open, just getting, like you said, 2 feet in the paint. Once you do that, the magic happens. It's either a layup, uh, the guy's cutting in, or you find the guy in the corner, whatever it may be. But once you get the 2 feet in the paint, the magic happens.
He's my second rated prospect, but I just don't know how. I don't know if he's gonna go two or three because um the Hornets have LaMelo, so I don't know if they take a point guard. But
I
I feel
don't
like
know. I think
in this situation you gotta take the best athlete available, and that's gonna be Scoot because I just think he's a better athlete than Brandon Miller.
LaMelo could play shooting guard, I think. So
I think he
I think
should.
I think if the Hornets pass on him, this is terrible. It's an idiotic pick by them. I don't get it. I don't get I mean, I like Brandon Miller, but we saw what he did in the tournament. He has major flaws in his game. Scoot, I mean, he has some flaws in his game, the 3-point shooting, sometimes the defense, but he doesn't have the flaws that Brandon Miller has. I get it. He doesn't have the upside because of the size. It's a wings league now. Brandon's 6'9" with six whatever wingspan he has, can shoot the ball, can defend. But I just think Scoot is a one of a kind player. Like I'm not saying he's generational because we've seen Ja, we've seen Rose, we've seen Westbrook, but he's gonna be. And I think he's gonna be super special. I think once he walks into the league, he's already a top five athlete as a guard. So just based off that alone, I see his floor being pretty high as well as his ceiling. And I think eventually this draft pick could end up being like John Morant going number two because at the time it was undisputed Zion one, Zion one, Zion one. Nobody even had a thought John Morant going one. And people thought Zion was going to be generational, and now here we are, however many years later, and Ja was the better pick.
I mean, you say, like you said about the defense, it could be a little inconsistent. But me personally, I think that like with his frame and them long, long arms he has and big old hands, he's pretty good. Like what do he average? About 8 rebounds last year? Five, well,
5.1, I
five.
think.
Well, like I was saying, like them arms are so long, and he's got that reach. So I think that, and with his speed and his shiftiness, I think that he has potential to be one of the best defenders if put in the right situation with coaching and player development. I think that he has potential to be one of the better defenders, like on ball defenders in the NBA.
Yeah, I think no doubt this is one of the safest picks in the draft. Um, the one thing I was gonna say is we touched on like 34% from three. That's not bad, but you look at the attempts, only like 2.7 attempts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to go up, no doubt. But look at the competition he's playing against. No, like he's playing against the hardest competition out of any of the prospects. So
Hmm.
I think this is the safest pick in the
You
draft.
think he's playing harder competition than Vic?
I think so.
I think he's playing harder competition, but I think the rule set that Vic plays in is harder.
Maybe. I don't know. That's a whole nother debate.
Yeah, that's true. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think this guy's a home run pick. Um, I don't see how you pass on him. I really don't get it. To me, my number three prospect isn't Brandon Miller, so he wouldn't even be in my thought process. My number three prospect is Asar Thompson. So I think I don't know. I could see a team trading up possibly, but I just think the Hornets should pull the trigger.
For sure. Well, the guy like Scoot Henderson, the like pure raw athleticism. I mean, it's obviously going to be a project, but what prospect isn't? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Besides like Yama because he is generational, but this guy right here, I think he has superstar potential, and like I don't think the Hornets should pass on him at all, even with a trade.
I agree. 2017 Westbrook all over, mixed with 2012 Rose. It's just like I don't know. He plays like Rose, but he has the body of Westbrook. So it could be something we've never seen before.
Got anything else, Aaron?
Nah, this is a guy. This is a guy. If you pass up, you lose your job on.
Oh,
And simple.
for sure. Good point.
People
Great point.
say you pass up at of on Webanyama at one. If you pass Scoot at two, there are gonna be a lot of people on Twitter looking back here in about 3 years.
Telling you, he could be the John
Maybe even
Morant. We don't
sooner.
know what Vic ends up being.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
not
Safest
at
pick in the
all.
draft.
I think yeah, easily one of the safest, one of them. I think,
I don't know
well,
though, because that is very worse. And the only way Victor won't be like a great defender is just injuries. I mean, the offense, yeah, that's like a project, but I think he's going to be a great defender no matter
oh,
what, as long as he doesn't get hurt.
that's another thing I meant to touch on was Scoot. He has had a couple injuries in the past, which can slow a career down. But I think with like the NBA, like the pure NBA training with a top prospect like that, I think that him getting the right training and all that would go a long way with helping with his injuries, which is foolish to say because there's a lot of injury prone guys in the NBA, but you know, I definitely can't pass on Scoot.
Yeah, I think it just depends. I don't know. We'll see how his body reacts.
All right. Well, that's gonna wrap it up, guys. Thank you for tuning in. This has been the Scoot Henderson player analysis.